Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be going over a simple course on introduction to browser using AI agent, AI systems. So yeah, let's jump into the course. We're going to go ahead and cover the basics of how to basically automate browser processes using AI agents. Basically, you can give it a prompt that, hey, go to this website, order me this product, and then pay with this credit card. You can do all that using browser use agents, or you can say, maybe for example, hey, go ahead, look at all the jobs on maybe LinkedIn, maybe jobs on AI, browse all the jobs on AI, store all the jobs information along with the related links within a certain Google document, right? You can do that using browser use agent. So the agent to go online, go on LinkedIn, and you can see this activity going on in real time. You can see the browser opening, the AI agent going to LinkedIn. You can see it's typing in basically AI jobs, and then gathering the data, and then going ahead and storing all this information within a Google Drive or an online form. And you can do all this within using a browser automation, basically, which is quote unquote browser using AI agents, okay, or browser use. Okay, so in this video, we're going to go ahead and cover all that, the fundamentals, and you're going to go ahead and build a couple of projects. And in the upcoming videos, we'll build more on this basic concept that we'll learn in this video. So let's jump into it. So let's cover the course overview and look at what you're going to be covering in this whole course. So we're going to be looking at a couple of things. You're going to look at example applications of a browser using AI agent. You're going to be looking at going ahead and doing the simple setup, installing all the dependencies, creating a virtual environment, and all that. We're going to go ahead and see which API keys you need to do and how to configure your API keys. We're going to also go ahead and look at basically building a simple agent, how to work with the agent memory, how to process the agent results, and running browser use, basically using this browser use without basically LLM involvement within it. Planning, we'll see how we can have different models, one model for planning the operations, another model for executing those actions or those plans, and then how to process agent results and all that. Okay, so we're going to also look at memory using AI agents. We're going to look at how to generate a GIF image of the whole process that the agent took, like basically a short video of the whole browser and the different steps the browser use agent took to achieve the result that it achieved. And then we're going to look at, finally, we're going to be looking at formatting the different outputs, right? So let's jump into it. You have a lot to cover today, so let's jump into it. Okay, so I also have an article on this. Okay, so you can also follow the articles as well on LinkedIn, sorry, on Medium, on my Medium page at Prince Crumper. Okay, so let's go ahead and basically get ahead and start doing the setup. So let's go ahead and create a project folder. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this, and I'm going to go ahead and actually I can just go ahead and copy this. So once I have this copied, I'm going to go ahead and paste it in here, then run that. So we have created a folder, mkdir, create a folder, and then we change directory into that folder. That's all we did. So once we have that done, now we need to go ahead and create a Python virtual environment. I'm going to be using UV in this case. You can use any environment manager that you want. Okay, so I'm gonna copy that and then simply paste it here to have my environment activated. So you can see my environment is activated. Okay, so that's it. So once that's activated, I'm going to go ahead and okay, so if you're on Windows, this is the process to activate it. If you're on Mac or Linux, this is the process, right? So I'm on a Linux machine, Ubuntu, that's why I use this command. But if you're on a Windows, you can use this command, right? Okay, so for my Windows audience, so I recently did a survey on asking you guys what about the most what operating system you guys use. So most of you said you use a Windows, so I'll be taking into account in my future videos as well. So I'm going to go ahead and simply go ahead and install this. So this package, install that, and I'm going to be using UV. It's much faster. Okay, so once this is installed, I'm also going to go ahead and install this as well, right? So let's give this a bit of time. While this is installing, what you can do is let me just open up this. I'm going to open up this in Cursor. So feel free to use any editor that you're comfortable working with. I'm going to be using Cursor in this case. Okay, so once this is done, I'm going to go ahead and simply place Cursor in here. Okay, so that's it. I want this setup. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and create a folder in here called basic. So we're going to keep all our basic stuff. Later on, we'll do more projects on this. So keep all the basic stuff in there. And also let's not forget to install this as well. So copy this, and I'm going to go back in and have this one running as well. Awesome. So once we have that running, so what is this just installs the browser use, which is a Python library to be using. So you can go ahead and just search for browser use on the internet. You can search, you can see which package you're using right here. Okay, so go ahead and see browser use and see the exact package you're using. You're also using Playwright, and Playwright is just a automation library in Python that helps you do browser automations in Python. So they use Playwright along with AI to do to achieve browser use. Okay, that's basically what this library does. Okay, so I've created a basic folder, and then you have it opened up. So we're going to go ahead and create a folder in there called file called lesson1.py. So create a file here, then call lesson_01.py file. Okay, so once we have this file created, I'm going to go ahead and also move on to the next step, which is we need to have an API key. So how do we get an API key? So I'm going to be using my OpenAI API key, and you need to go ahead and get your OpenAI API key. So how we are going to do that? Let's just go in here at the root of the folder, just create a folder called .env, so a file called .env, and then say OpenAI underscore API underscore key, and then paste in your OpenAPI key in here. So this will be your OpenAPI key. So make sure that this is matching, but this could be your OpenAPI key. So I'm going to go ahead and simply get my OpenAPI key and then paste it in here, and then I'll be back recording. So for the meantime, okay, this playwright is done installing. Okay, so that's let me go ahead and get my OpenAPI key, and I'll be back recording shortly. Okay, so I got my OpenAPI key already set up there. So let's move on ahead, and let's see what's next on the list. So the next thing is going to go ahead and create a simple agent using a browser use. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and simply bring in the basic import, and I'll explain to you each of these imports as I bring them in. Okay, so this is just for browser use, and this we're going to be using asynchronous. So we have the sync IO library imported right there, and this is going to be going ahead and loading our Python virtual environment variable. So this is you can just go ahead and have it there. So that's going to go ahead and load in our Python virtual for environment variables. And then one very important key thing to set is a browser session. So when I was reading the documentation, they didn't mention anything about how to set up the browser session. So it on a Linux, it was giving a bunch of issues. Okay, so if you're on Windows and you also get the same issues, then I suggest you do the browser use session and then pass it in. But you can do this first before you try before you specify the browser use. Let me show you what you need to do. So you can just go, let me just copy the rest of the code right here, and then I'll explain to you one piece at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and simply paste this over here. So what you're simply doing is creating an LLM. You can specify I'm using OpenAI's 4.0, and then I specify a task, search for the best courses on AWS for beginners, and then I pass in the LLM that I want to use, and then I pass in the browser session. So if you are trying this for the first time, I suggest you comment this out, right? You don't pass in the browser session, and just try it out and see how it behaves, right? So if it doesn't, it gives a bunch of issues, a bunch of errors, which I think you will get. So don't get frustrated. It's common you get those errors. So just take your time, follow this instruction right here, install Playwright, and let's actually do that. So I have to do Playwright install, and then install that, and then you still get a bunch of issues, right? So if you get a bunch of issues, don't give up. Stay. Just give it a bit of effort. Read the instructions that this is gonna give you. So if you can see, it's gonna give you a bunch of instructions. Just try to follow those instructions. And if you're still getting any errors, just try to use AI to help you solve the issues. Because when I was starting up with this browser use, I got a bunch of errors, and I just used AI, right? So I don't want to go over this because it's gonna be very different from like different operating systems and for different people depending on what you have installed on your machine, right? So it's gonna be a bit futile to go up for me to go ahead and explain each of these steps of how I solved it, because you might get a different problem. Okay, so just try to implement the ones that I've mentioned right here. Install Playwright, install, and then if it doesn't work, try to do this. Okay, and then try to do this as well. Okay, but if you're still getting errors, just copy the errors, use ChatGPT, use Claude to try to help you solve it, right? Okay, so once that's done, let's try to see. Hopefully I have no errors. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that I have, for me, I need to have the browser use but set up for this to work. But in your case, you can comment it out first, try it out. If it doesn't work, then uncomment it, and then try it out again. Okay, so I'm just going to go in here, and then let me try to minimize this a bit so that's much easier on our eyes. So run this. Okay, I need to go ahead and change it to the basics, and then once I'm in there, I'm going to go ahead and simply run this. Okay, let's see this go. So let's see how this goes. Okay, so okay, I got no error there. Awesome. So you can see right there, it opens up Chromium. I think it's Chromium browser, and it's going to go ahead, and you can see it's going to execute. It's going to go look for best AWS course for beginners, and it's going to go ahead and find for me all these basically AWS courses for beginners online, and then list them all out as a final output of this task. So it's going, you can see it doing all the stuff. So don't touch, just leave it. Don't try to how do you say, interrupt it. Just let it go on its own, and then you get the final result at the end. So just be patient with this. Sometimes it can be a bit slow, I think, because of the LLMs and stuff like that, so it can be a bit slow. But yeah, anyway, it will go through, and then you get the final result at the end. So yeah, that's it. So we just have to wait here. If you go to another window, unfortunately it's going to be dragging me back here, so I'm just going to have it go through in here, and we should see the final output. So again, if you're getting any errors, just research on it. Try to use Cursor, try to use OpenAI, try to use Cloud to help you solve it. It's not that difficult to solve, so I trust you, and I believe you can do it. Okay, so you can see it's 34 different courses on AWS, and this, I'm not really touching anything on my keyboard. In fact, my hands are in the air. Unfortunately, you can see I have my cameras off, but basically my hands are in the air. I'm not really touching this. This is just being done by the AI. So you can imagine the possibilities and the amount of stuff you can do with this technology. So can do a lot of stuff, right? So automating your browser, your website testing, data collection, data entry, flight booking, the job searches, writing CVs, and ton of stuff, right? So yeah, so I can see that I have the results, final results of the operation. So it went ahead and did all the searches, and then once it's done, it closes the browser, and then I get presented with the final result. So we can see the final result. We get back an object called AI here, history list, and this is just the list of the stuff that it has done. It's memory basically. So we can actually store this information. So this is where we store it. So if you specify this, you can see it's going to create a folder called this part of this folder, and you can see a bunch of text files in here, right? So this text files, and you can see all the process it did, all the pages it went through, the file system. You can see all the information that it did, all the action rules and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's basically it. So you can see how the whole process went about and how we got the final output. So everything is well documented. So that's what it does. This configuration, this parameter, it basically tells to save the chat history in a folder, right? In this folder you have a lot of txt files, right? So you can take a look at it and read through, but that's basically how it works. Okay, so now we have looked at saving agent history. We have created a simple agent. You've been able to save the agent history. Now, how do we process this agent history? So it has a lot of stuff in here. So if you open up this, it has a lot of stuff. So you might be like, okay, I mean, what's this used for? I mean, why do I need this? Okay, and I totally get you. It's really confusing for me at the beginning. So let's see one of the ways you can go about processing this. So a simple way you can go about processing this is by simply here. So we can simply go ahead and get the agent memory history, and then be able to process this agent history as well. So how do you go ahead and process that? So we just basically get the agent history. Once you run it, it returns an object which is called, which is this one right here, which we talked about, the agent history list. So this object is returned to you, and you can store this in an object, and then you can have execute these methods such as history URLs. It's going to return to you all the URLs that it went through. You can see the screenshots, you can see the action names, the different actions it took and stuff like that. So let me just go ahead and simply copy this right here, and let's create a new folder, a new file called lesson2, so that you guys can always get refer back to this. I'm going to push the code to GitHub so that you guys have access to it. So it's going to be lesson2.py file. So once I have this file created, I'm going to go ahead and simply paste in the code right here. So again, it's the same thing. We have the basics: import, load the environment variables, create a browser session, create an LLM, and then create a browser use agent, and then give it the instruction of what to do, and pass in the LLM, the browser session history, and also where to save that that history, right? Yeah, and then from there we execute it. We get the agent history list back, object back, and then you can execute these different methods to extract these different things. So you can get the different URLs, you can get the screenshots, and you can print all this out, right? So you can execute this again. If it's gonna take a bit of time, but you can execute again, and we should get a list of all these things back. Okay, so let me just execute this, and it's gonna take a bit of time. So be patient again. It's gonna open up the browser, and it's going to do its little search thing. Do all the things you need to do. Go to the browser, go to Google, search for AWS courses for beginners 2025. You can see it's even taking the date into account, right? So we didn't even tell you the date, but it took the date into account. So you can see the level of intelligence in there. So once we have that, it's going to go ahead and output for us the things like the list of screenshot, name of the executed actions. So basically, it's just a tool calling. It's calling a tool, and this tool enables you to take action. So we'll take maybe a screenshot of this and then send to AI. Hey, I have this screenshot. These are different things. You can see it's extracting different things. What do I need to do? Hey, can the ALM say, hey, maybe click on this thing, and then it clicks on it. That basically, so that's what the actions are. So you can see a list of all this action it took. Okay, I can really it keeps drawing me back. You can see all the actions it took, all the errors it goes, all the parameters it passed to these actions when calling them. And what are these actions? We'll take a look into these actions just in the next section. So we can check if the agent is done or not, if there have been any errors. You can also get the final results, which is the final output. And yeah, you can get a lot of things out of it. So yeah, that's basically it. So let's give this a bit of time and let it execute, and we should get those outputs done outputs once it's done. So now that you have done that, which is processing results. So now let's take a look at something. I think, okay, I made an error with the numbering here, so the numbering should be changing. That's my bad, forgive me for that. Okay, so running without LLM. So I can also, as I mentioned earlier on, you can run this without LLMs being involved. So how is that possible? So okay, now let's take a look at this, and let's see what we got back. So yeah, so you can see the final output. Oh, my bad. So I actually ran file 1 instead of file 2. Okay, not a waste of time. Anyway, my bad, my apologies for that. So let's try this one more time, and let's see. So while that's going on, so let's talk about running this without an LLM. So as I mentioned, you have a bunch of actions, right? So this browser use library is using another library in the background called Playwright, which is a tool for browser automations in Python, right? So you can actually specify the actions that if you're trying to build a tool from scratch using Python, you can actually specify which actions you need to take. Like, hey, go to this website, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, click on this link, do this on this page, right? So you can specify all that within Python code. But now you're using an AI, an LLM to help us make those decisions for us, so we don't have to do it ourselves. And that's where those actions are. So you have these actions and stuff like that. So yeah, so you can actually run this without an LLM. So let's go ahead and create another file called lesson 3 while this runs in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and create a file here. I'm going to call it, it's going to be lesson hyphen ascotate.py file. So within this file, you're going to go ahead and paste the code in here, and it's going to be the same thing. Import our libraries, have our .env, have our browser session, and we have a bunch of actions. So where did I get this list of actions? So this list of actions are available on their official documentation websites, on their official GitHub. So if I open this on GitHub, this is the browser use agent GitHub. So if I go back in here, so you can see they have okay, because it keeps me drawing back to this window because the AI agent is using this browser in this window. So the computer thinks I'm clicking on it. It's not me. It's actually the AI. So you can see the different actions right there. So you can just press Control F and then say scroll, scroll. So you can see you have the different actions right here. So okay, now this is really getting annoying. So let me just go in here. So you can see one of the actions is scroll. So scroll. So if you go in here, try to search for the word scroll, and you should see, right? So we have an action called scroll, and what does this action do? It does this thing. So you can read about all this under the official documentation. So they actually on the official documentation of browser use, they haven't really documented this properly. So you have to actually go on their GitHub page and try to read the source code itself to figure this out. So there are a bunch of actions that you could take, and all these actions are specified within their code base. So you have to actually read the code base. So unfortunately, the time of making this video, or actually let me say the time that I read the documentation, there was no, like, I didn't find any page. Maybe there is, I don't know. Maybe I didn't find it. Maybe I didn't do my due diligence. Okay, so you can always find these things online. So yeah, So anyway, so you can see is doing the AWS, finding the AWS courses. So we went to Udemy, found this AWS course. I actually did this AWS course for cloud practitioners, the basics. Actually doing it, and I'm close to finishing it. It's really interesting course. So yeah, and it's taught by this French guy. I forgot his name, but he's really a good instructor. So if you're thinking of have taken an AWS course, okay, I'm not being paid by him, but anyway, yeah. But if you're thinking of taking an AWS course, then I would suggest that course. It's really nice course. Okay, so that's that part right here. So now this is now browser use without basically the LM being involved. So specifying basically you're doing all the thinking as a human, right? So just passing those thinking that you have done into into the when creating the agent, telling, hey, these are your initial actions that you should follow. Okay, so initial action, you can specify them in here. Okay, so that's basically it, and everything else remains the same. Passing the session, passing the LLM, passing the task prompt, and then yeah, we just print out the output and then we execute this function asynchronously. Yeah, browser session, loading environment variable, and then the basics imports from our browser use. Yeah, so that's more or less it. So yeah, so yeah, that's what I wanted to cover. So now also look at planning LLM. So let's not just go ahead of time. Let's give this a bit of time for it to finish. And when this is done, what we expect to see is this output, right? This print statement. So we should see those print statements once this is done. So give it a bit of time. Sometimes that's the only issue I have with browser use agents. Sometimes they take an awful lot of time and they use quite an awful amount of tokens. Basically, when I mean token, I mean LLM tokens. So if you're paying for these providers, then those tokens translate into you having to pay more for using more tokens. So at the end of the day, it's more expensive, right? So yeah, that's it from my experience. I find it using a much bit more token, but you can always basically you can try the free tokens that you get initially. I think that should take you through this course and be able to help you build a couple of projects and practice your browser user agent skills. So yeah, you should be fine in that dimension. Yeah, so let's give this a bit more time. Now this is okay, should almost done. Yeah, it's done. We should just close this in a moment. So 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Okay, so we have it right here. So what do we have exactly? Okay, let's take a look at it and let's see what we have. So we can see agent action results, which is agent action results. This one right here, you can see it printed out everything. Error outputs, so it got some errors and those are the outputs of those errors. And then we have extracted content, which is this one right here, extracted content. So you can see all the stuff right here, right? So you can take all this stuff and use it to do whatever you want to do. So you can see this is some awful long URL. So you can see all this is a bunch of URLs that you just used. Yeah, so that's basically it. And you can see a lot of stuff being printed out here. So you can see you have the final output. So you give me here's a summary of the best AWS course for beginners based on the extracted content. So this is it. So if you're trying to build this, then you might be like, you know what, I'm just gonna use a browser search tool like Tavily. I don't have to waste time doing all this, and it's taking an awful lot of time. And I would agree with you in some in that case, but there are some use cases whereby you might find this more user friendly or more advantageous than simply using a Tavily which doesn't have a UI. And when you start building projects, you will see such examples. Okay, so no worry about that. So just hold on. So now we have done executed done. So now the other part is this part right here, which is just basically doing this without LLMs in being involved for the initial actions. So you can see that. Let me just run this again. So what we need to do is we're going to tell our browser, we're going to tell basically list the actions. So go to this URL in the new tab, is true, and then go to this page, right? So then you need to go open two browsers. So you to open one browser and this is another browser, sorry, another tab on the browser. And then you're telling it to scroll down. Once it goes on this browser, scroll down. You said it's true. So if it's false, it's going to scroll up. So we said true because you want to scroll down. And number of pages that it should scroll down. So we're saying scroll down for only one page. So you can maximum is you have to say number between 0 and 5. Sorry, 0 and 1. So 1 is a maximum, 0 is a least. So again, you're saying again, scroll down again. True. So scroll down by one page again. And then you're telling it scroll up by one page. And then scroll up again by one page. So go to the page, scroll down 1, 2. Sorry, 1, 2. And then scroll up again 1, 2. That's what I'm telling you to do. And those are the initial actions. So let's see how that goes. And that does not involve the use of an LLM because we specify this ourselves. Okay, so now let me make sure that I have this actually changed to 3. Okay, so that's it. And let's run this and see. Okay, so you open up the web page. It's going to search for YouTube initially. Go to YouTube and it's going to open a new browser searching for the browser use website, right? So you can see YouTube and then browser use website. And then once it's on browser use website, scroll down twice and then scroll up twice. So we come back in here. Let's see it. So it's taking some time to load. So it's going to scroll 1, 2, 1, 2, right? Scroll down twice, scroll up twice. And we tell it to extract, they tell us more about the agent settings. So you went down and then went on agency. So now this is where the LLM system takes over, and then the LLM takes over, and then does information extraction and all that. So you can see it clicked on agent use, and now it's going to extract the information for us and then present to us in the final report. Yeah, so that's how you can also specify your own initial actions that you want your agent to take. In case you want to do that, that's the way you can do that. Yeah, so we give this a bit of time, and let's see what we get back. Okay, now this is done. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so my countdown actually accurate. So you can see the final result here. So here's the information about agent setting, and then blah 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 blah, and then listed out all that information. So yeah, that's browser use for you using initial actions that you can set as a human without having to have the AI or the LLM do that for you. Okay, so now let's move on to the planning model. So let me go back in here. So let's talk about the planning model. So we can have a model that's specifically dedicated to thinking. So if you want to achieve a certain task, say, tell me more about the agent setting. So the LLM needs to think about, okay, how do I go ahead and achieve this? Right. So the model that does this planning is what we call the planning LLM model. So you can have a model for taking the actions, which is the regular LLM, and you can have a model that does the planning. So what they mostly say that for the planning model, try to use a kind of a smart model, but usually a smaller model. That's what I've seen from different readings I've done online. But basically, try experiment and see what works for your use case, right? Because there are a lot of options out here. Okay, so now we're going in here, and okay, I need to create a lesson 4, so my bad. So close this up and then create a lesson _04.pyfab. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and simply paste that in here. So what are we doing? I think from the last part you already know what this is, initial actions. So again, import, load environment variables, create a browser session, our initial actions we have defined ourselves, and you have the regular LLM we're using for O, and you can have a planning LLM using O3 mini, and yeah, so because you can also specify a message context. A message basically gives more context to this AI system on what it's doing. So right, so it can be say message context. You are trying to build to help correct that typo. You're trying to help a beginner to understand these concepts about what AI agents. So that's the task, and the context around it is that the AI system is trying to help a beginner. That's the context around it, and you can specify using vision for the planner model, right? The vision ability to be able to see the browser page, and then you also specify the planning iterations. Plan every 4 steps. Basically number of steps between phases defaults to 1. Okay, so we also have the browser session, you have the initial actions, and then yeah, also have the you have the planning LLM, and then you have the regular LLM as well, which is then taking the actions. Okay, so now that's it. So now we are having an model specifically for planning, and then you have a model for taking the actions, right? So yeah, so we can go ahead and execute this, and we should get back the same result. That should work as well. Okay, now so just because of the time, I'm not going to execute this, but the code is going to be available for you guys. You can take this and execute it. Okay, so you can see it's more or less what you have done in this file right here. We just added a different model that's going to be using for thinking, for planning, sorry, or the planning or the thinking. Okay, anyway, so once we have that out of the way, now let's look at the memory in browser use agents. So this ASM is trying to do something, right? So how does it remember all the things, all the steps it took previously, and all the steps it needs to take, and all the steps it's currently taking? That's where memory comes into play. So previously you're using Mem0, which is part of the Mem GPT paper, right? If you have never used Mem GPT, it's a really good library for managing AI memory, right? You can work with both vector databases and also knowledge graphs, combines those two to achieve memory. So it's really good. So if you're building a system that needs to adapt to maintain long-term memory and short-term memory, I would heavily suggest you look at Mem0. Okay, so anyway, initially it was using Mem0, and then when came version 0.3.2, they removed the memory completely because they're able to build a system that helps the agent manage memory effectively, so they don't need the memory, external memory that we're using, which is Mem0. So they remove it, and now they just do things themselves. Okay, so we can actually also generate GIS. So what's the GIF? GIF is just I mean it's just those kind of changing kind of images, right? So this kind of thing. So this is, I'm just going to show you this one right here. So you can see it's changing, right? So it's changing, it's changing, it's changing, right? So you can, it basically have you a short video of basically the whole process that the AI agent, the browser use agent took during the time of execution. So you can see the whole thing right here. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, so for you to be able to use this, we need to have a library called Pilo or Pilo, whatever you pronounce it as. Let me know in the comment section, is it Pilo or Pilo? Anyway, so you need to have this Pilo or Pilo installed, and then you need to go ahead and have settings set that generate GIF, and then set this to be true. So you can copy this right here, copy this, go back in here. I'm gonna create a file here. I'm gonna call it lesson. This is gonna be lesson 5, right? Underscore 05.py. Okay, this is 5. Okay, so what this can simply do is that it saves a short video, a GIF of the whole process that it took. So something like this. So you can see step 1, step 2, step 3, and then gives you a key of what that agent was doing in that specific frame. Okay, so you can go ahead and simply run this. It's gonna be lesson 5.py. So this, if I run lesson 5, this should cover for the planning agent as well. So, and the generating of the GIF. All right, so yeah, so I just took the code from here, which is the planning LLM, and I simply pass in this parameter, which is generate GIF, and set it to be true. That's what I did. So I'll run this. So if I run this, it's gonna account for 2 of this, which is the LLM itself. Okay, now this is going to be okay. So yeah. Okay, we have to give this a bit of time and wait for it to run. Okay, so it's going to go here, scroll down twice, scroll up twice, which is our initial instruction or actions, and then search for more information, right? So yeah, that's basically it. And then once it's done, it should save all this as a GIF, a GIF. Okay, a GIF is I think it's an imaging format. It doesn't look like an image to me, it's more like a video. But anyway, let us know in the comments what you think. Is it really, it's a GIF file, a picture format, or is it a video file, like something like an MP4? But an MP4 has sound, right? GIFs don't have sound. Okay, that's something to think about. Okay, I'm just getting you guys distracted so this can go on. Anyway, don't mind me. Let's give it a bit of time so this can finish up. Okay, surprisingly a change in the theme. We didn't ask it to do that. Okay, this should close anytime soon. Let me just check this out. 1, 2, 3. Okay, my countdown this time is wrong. Let's check in here. Oh, so there was an error. It says okay, perfect. So I told you something that I never explained. So let me cut off this. And the error is, I think you guys know what it is, right? We didn't install this, so you need to do this. Have this installed, and then you run this again. Run this again. So now that you run it, you should save the GIF file. Okay, so you should go on the website, search for YouTube, open another tab, search for the browser use documentation, and then scroll down twice, scroll up twice, and then start doing his research, right? Okay, so let's see what goes on. I wish there was a way to speed up this. Okay, but when I'm editing the video, I'm just gonna make sure it speeds up as much as possible. It's just no point of waiting and watching this go through. Okay, so it's done. 1, 2, 3. Close. Okay. Close now. Yeah, okay, now close. Okay, now that's done. You should go ahead and see the GIF image right here. So you can see it right here. To tell me about the settings, and you can see the step 1, extract list. Step 2, summarize the extracted information to present to the user. So you can see the whole GIF process, the process that it took within a simple GIF image. Okay, let's now look at the last part, is this getting structured output. So sometimes you're extracting information, right? But you want the information to be in a structured way, right? Okay, let me just show you this link which I have right here. Here. So let me just copy this. Open up this, and then go to browser use, paste it in here, and let me show you what I'm trying to say. So we have this website, right? This website has a bunch of jobs, right? So let's say that you want to build a browser use agent that goes on this website and grabs us information about all the AI jobs that are on this site, and then store the information within a CSV file. That's what this code does. So we need a structured way. So each job should have a title. So we use Pydantic classes to define this. You can use other ways of defining this. One of the other ways is, let me just think about this, is a class. I forgot the name. It's just something you can use in Python that comes with Python. It was introduced in one of the latest versions of Python. So you can okay, in this case I'm using Pydantic. So you can just have each job. You need to extract the title. We need to get the location of the job. We need to get whether it's full-time or part-time. We need to get the company name of this job, the annual salary, and the job description, right? So we need to get all that information. And at the end of the day, we want to store that information within a CSV file. That's what this code is basically does. So we are using structured output right here. So this is how you use structured output. So you can go ahead and then, let's say, create another folder called projects, which is going to be our first project for projects. And I'm going to call this one jobs extraction.py. So I'm going to go ahead and simply paste this information in here. So make this a bit shorter. So this basically what it does. So goes on this website, search job information, and then store it in a simple CSV file. That's all we need. That's all this code does. Okay, nothing much, nothing less. So it's a prompt right here, task, and then give it a context. You are a helpful assistant that can help me find jobs related to AI and machine learning in the Houston, Texas area. So it's specifying to basically go ahead, look for AI jobs, but the location needs to be Houston, Texas. Right? Why did I choose Houston, Texas? Because I only find American places in here, so I just chose Texas. Okay, that's it. So you can go ahead and execute this code, and it should go ahead and do for you exactly that. It's not really perfect. Sometimes I've run it a couple of times. It's not really perfect, but you can say 50% perfect. Right, so let me just run this in the background. So this is going to be projects. I need to change my directory, and then /projects. So once I'm in there, I'm going to simply do Python 3 and then jobs and then run this. Okay, so this should open up the tab and then begin to run. Okay, so once this is running, you should go to the website that is specified, search for the jobs that you want, in which location, Texas, right? Okay, so congrats, the first step done. So I went to the website. Now we need to go ahead and put in the location and extract the jobs. Okay, while this is going on, I'm just going to go ahead and let's proceed with this so that we finish up quickly. So guys, thank you so much for watching the videos. I know I've been off from YouTube for a while now, so yeah, I been having a lot going on my end, so I just came back right now. This is my video in 3 weeks, so yeah. Anyway, this is really annoying. Yeah, so you can connect with me on Medium if you want to read the articles. They are available on Medium. You can find the articles right here on Medium page. My Medium page. You can find me on YouTube at Coded Prince. You can find me on Twitter at aka X at Prince_Cramper. And if you want to connect with me, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm much faster to respond to your LinkedIn. If you have any projects, any suggestions, any recommendations, you can find me on LinkedIn at Prince Cramper. Okay, so yeah, that's basically it. And also, before we leave, I really want to thank you guys as well. So recently I've been I have a buy me coffee link in the description of the videos. So you guys, actually, some of you have donated to that cause, and yeah, so for now I do most of the funding of the channel myself, so I just use my own money to buy the equipment, editing, and anything I need for the channel. Yeah, but so I take the coffee money and then try to donate it to charity and children homes and stuff like that, right? So thank you guys so much. All of you have contributed course of this year, right? So your money went ahead to the charity house. So you can see this is me right here in the charity house. The image got a bit distorted. We went to supermarket, right? Bought a bunch of things for the kids. So we went ahead and asked them what they needed the most in the orphanage houses, and then we bought all the stuff basically using the coffee money, buy me coffee money, and we gave it to the charity. So you can see this is me right there in the charity children's home here in Nairobi. So guys, thank you so much for all of you who contributed. We really appreciate your effort, and if you really want to support this effort more, you can click on the buy me coffee link in the description, and yeah, let's help up. Let's see how much kids you can really help this year. So guys, thank you so much, and I hope this really concludes before we finish the video. Anyway, if it doesn't, trust me, you'll find a CSV file being generated. So the CSV file will be generated in this projects folder called jobs.csv file, and it should have the detail of all those jobs that was extracted, right? So it's not perfect, it has a bunch of issues. Yeah, so once you go through this course, you'll see different ways of working with these things. We'll also look at basically how do you pass your password and the username to a given website, and then ask the AI to log in and do something crazy for you. Okay, so if you're a student, I know what you're thinking. Okay, I don't have to take my exams anymore. I can just pass my learning management system password in there and the username and have the AI do it for me. Okay, I didn't say that, right? I didn't say that. I never said that. Okay. Anyway, yeah, that's all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next video, and keep safe. Again, if you want to support more of my efforts to try to help the children down here in Nairobi, please, if you don't mind, try to help contribute to the Buy Me Coffee, and let's try to raise some money, and let's try to make the world a better place, right? So thank you guys so much, and see you in the next video. Keep safe. Have a good day.